Opening up the homestand with a loss to the Pittsburgh Pirates, lopsided loss. Some of you are concerned. In fact, a lot of you are concerned. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I think it's just natural for fans, especially fans of the Milwaukee Brewers, but all the sports teams of Wisconsin, to have a little bit of a pessimistic feeling when anytime things look like they're going to go south a little bit. Because let's face it, many times they have. But we got to keep this thing together. Hi, everybody. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Great to have you along. Longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin. We're all here for a common theme, and that is to pull our team through and get them to a World Series, another one, and maybe this time a championship, but a World Series for the first time since 1982. Long way to go between now and then. And right now, I would say the Brewers are going through their toughest time of the season as far as wins and losses. They've dropped 4 of 5. Okay. They've had a few times, I believe 5 or 6 times this year where they've dropped 3 in a row. They had a 3-game skid stopped on Sunday when they won handily in Los Angeles, had the Monday off, came back, and we were kind of hoping, all right, the Pittsburgh Pirates are here. Let's all get fed on the Pittsburgh Pirates. And you know how that works. The Pirates are always a little bit of a thorn in our side. Even though the Brewers have had a great record, I was watching some of the Pirates telecasts tonight on Tuesday night, and they were talking about AmFam Field being a house of horrors, how Milwaukee, how they don't like coming here because it's always tough for them to win here and all that. Great. I'm glad they have that mentality. But it seems like when the Brewers play the Pirates, it's always tough. Even though I feel like their wins are kind of magnified against the Milwaukee Brewers. Like when the Pirates win, it almost counts like 3 wins for them. But I feel like every time the Pirates beat the Brewers, it's that gosh darn Brian Reynolds who gets things going, is in the middle of everything. And I put this out on a tweet on Tuesday night. Man, I wish that guy was a Milwaukee Brewer. God, I love that guy. I don't like players from other teams, but man, that guy can play for the Milwaukee Brewers any day of the week. I'd take him right now in a second. Name your price. Please give me Brian Reynolds on my team. What do you want? No, maybe not Jackson Churio, but a few other guys I'd give up in a heartbeat for Brian Reynolds. Not going to go there, but man, I just love that guy. Of course, it's a 2-run home run, get the party started for the Pirates, and then they come away with a 6-run 6th inning as they tag Colin Ray, Bryce Wilson, who gave up the grand slam. 6 pitches into his outing, gave up the grand slam, and game, set, and match right there to cap off the 6-run 6th inning. And that was it right there. Brewers weren't coming back from an 8-2 deficit. You could just feel it. They were not coming back. I thought 2-2 tie after 5 innings. All right, here we go. They were down 2-0, rally to tie it. Bottom 4th, I want to say, to tie the game. And then they gave it right back. In the grand slam that Wilson gave up, kind of said, well, this homestand's not starting off like we hope. 6-game homestand, 3 the Pirates, 3 the Nationals, and they dropped 1 against the Pirates already, giving up 5 home runs. Giving up 5 home runs for the night. That was not an encouraging night for the pitching staff. It was not. Colin Ray, who had been pitching so great, 8-2 going into the game, ran into some problems in the 6th inning, 70 pitches by the 5th inning, left on 87 pitches, gave way to Wilson, and Wilson gave it the grand slam. Later on in the game, I don't know, Payamps just, and the game was well out of reach by then, but that's no excuse for Payamps to give up 2 home runs. Milner came in before him. He gave up one of the 5 Pirates home runs as well. That was the most lopsided loss ever to the Pirates at AmFam Field. The Pirates have won here before, but never by 10 runs. First time ever. The Pirates come in here and they lay a 12-2 loss on the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, I say that the Brewers are in a little bit of a slump. Yeah, the Brewers have dropped 4 of their last 5. If you want to backtrack it and spin it that way. And I've said all along that this is a 2-team race between the Brewers and the Cardinals. Those other 3 teams, including the Pirates, you concentrate on the wild card. This is a 2-team race. But, man, the Cardinals are starting to scare me a little bit. I have not been worried about the Cardinals, but now they're getting my attention a little bit. They have the rain out on Monday. They'll play a doubleheader with Kansas City on Tuesday. But the Cardinals have got the second best record in baseball, like 32-17, since Mother's Day. I mean, since Mother's Day, they've been absolutely on fire. They're hitting. You hear they're in the market for Max Scherzer. 40-year-old Max Scherzer, who's coming off a ton of injuries, but he's pitched well since coming off those injuries. But Texas, who won the World Series, is starting to feel like they can't even contend for the wild card because they're like 5 games over the 500 mark and 7 out. So they might be trading guys. In addition to Lorenzen, you hear that maybe Scherzer could be on the block. And we'll touch on that a little bit later on whether or not the Brewers should go there with Scherzer. But it appears that the Cardinals are showing heavy interest in him. I feel like the Cardinals are always the team that gets the first in the pecking order in this division when it comes to free agents or big trades, like they did with Goldschmidt and how they got there with Arenado. I feel like they're always a step ahead of teams in this division. They're getting Newtbark back as well. But St. Louis gained a half a game on the Brewers because they didn't play and the Brewers lost. It's down to 4 games right now. Yeah, I am a little worried about St. Louis. Yeah, I liked it better when it was like 7 or 8 up on St. Louis. Let's kick it back up to 5 or 6, hopefully, going into the All-Star break. You don't want this thing down to 2 or 1 going into the All-Star break. Let's get to the All-Star break, reset a little bit. Again, this homestand, there's still a lot of games you could win here on this homestand. Now, the problem is, I feel like Wednesday's game, not almost a must-win, but it's a game that you almost got to you should win. And I'll tell you why coming up here in a little bit. Chuck Friedman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And we're also going to talk about Murphy. Murphy had some comments about the bullpen coming up. And we'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And if you're going away here in the month of July and August, and travel in Wisconsin, that's what we do here in Wisconsin in July and August. In addition to go to Brewers games, we like to travel. We like to go do things. We like to go out and about and hang out in this wonderful state because let's face it, we only got about 2 months of nice weather and then it's back to being bad again. But whether you're traveling throughout the Wisconsin or traveling and following maybe the Brewers on a road trip to St. Louis, where the Cardinals are and the Brewers will meet in August, hotels, bed and breakfasts, vacation rentals, resorts, so much more on booking.com. You might find your perfect stay on there, even in a place like St. Louis. So many baseball fans book road trips. And I'm sure some of those Pirates fans that were at AmFam Field, there were a lot of them there. Surprised. The most Pirate fans I've seen at AmFam Field in a long time, maybe ever. But I'm sure maybe they booked with booking.com because that's the place, that's the right way to go. You're going to get stays, cars, you're going to get everything there. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, but book your travel on booking.com on the site, booking.com. They got a wonderful app as well, booking.com app. Go there. And this episode brought to you by booking.com, booking.com. Chuck Friedman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. All right, the Brewers and Pirates play game 2 of their series on Wednesday. I'll tell you in a second here why this is an important game. They're all important, but why this one is an important one in the series. All right, on my podcast, by the way, you can get it on Google, Spotify, Apple. We're on all the major downloads. We've just had an explosion of subscription signups lately. Just an explosion here in the last couple of weeks. In the middle of summer, and man, it's just been an uprising, both on Google, Spotify, Apple. Again, wherever you subscribe, please do, wherever you get your downloads. And our YouTube page is just off the charts these days. go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Follow me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FreiMUND. We'll be talking Brewers base with you all the time. Be covering the game on Wednesday night. If you see me outside the press box, walking around or whatever, heading on to the locker room, please stop, say hello. Love to talk to you, the great Brewers fans, especially from you're out of town. DM me, let me know if you're coming from out of town. Hopefully we get a chance to meet, but otherwise maybe a chance meeting or whatever. Always love meeting the fans of Locked On Brewers, because without you, we would not have a podcast. You great Brewer fans have made this the number one podcast, Brewer related, on the internet. All right. The reason why this game is so important on Wednesday, not only to get the Brewers back on a winning track, but, man, potentially to avoid a 3-game home sweep by the Pirates. And I say that because Skeens is pitching on Thursday. That guy's been unbelievable. Been watching him, but saw some tape of him. But I've been watching a lot of his starts. He's 5-0. Maybe you saw him. They showed him on the broadcast tonight. I mean, they just showed him. He's 6'6". He's a tall drink of water. He's amazing. He was the number one pick of the Pirates last year in the All-Star game. By the way, that just burns my rear end that the Pirates have got just as many players in the All-Star game as the Milwaukee Brewers. They have 2, but I'm not going to get on that topic. But Skeens is one of them. Skeens deserves to be there. There's no question about that. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he's pitching on Thursday. So let's get this one on Wednesday. They got to have this one Wednesday. The Brewers are favored going in. I wanted to check the odds real quick. They are a 150 favorite with Tobias Myers on the hill. Myers gets the start, and I believe Perez is going for them. Yeah, Perez, who's got an ERA of near 5, a 1-4 record. Perez on the hill, and he is a left-handed pitcher, so you know that Murph is going to be stacking the right-handers into lineup on Wednesday night. Murph had some interesting comments to say after the game. Yeah, he was a little down. I was listening to a little bit my buddy Tim Allen on the post game, and he sensed that Murph was down in the post game press conference, and he certainly was. It sounded like Murph was down in the press conference, and not that he's playing handball with a curb or anything like that. He's not at his lowest low, but Murph it's been a long season for him trying to put all these pieces together. He said he wished they could be more consistent, but because of injuries, he understands it. They can't have a consistent bullpen because of all the injuries. He was talking about giving guys roles in the bullpen. This guy being a 7th inning guy, this guy being the 8th inning guy, this guy maybe being the 6th inning guy. He hasn't been able to do that. And that's what makes the job that Murphy has done even more precious, because he's strung together. He's not been able to give these guys roles. Other years in the past, the Brewers have been able to give certain guys role. Okay, you're going to have the 7th inning. All right, we're going to bring you in for a couple of batters in the 8th inning possibly. But he's just piecing together whatever he can, because there's so many injuries on this team and that pitching staff and that bullpen. He would love to hand out roles, but he said right now what we need to do is we need to reach down. We need to reach down and get back to winning. Winning some of these close games. Brewers haven't had many of these lopsided losses. There was those losses earlier in the year at home to the Yankees on a Saturday and Sunday toward the end of April, but they haven't had many of these blowout losses. But 4 of 5 they have dropped. I'm not concerned yet, as of yet. And I know when I'm here with you on Locked On Brewers, or whether I'm a guest on a talk show, people ask me, is this, are you worried that the bullpen is going to get stretched out and it's going to take its toll? Way back in April, we talked about this. We said the bullpen could be facing some problems in July or August. They've been able to work their way through it. And I think they're being touched up a little bit because of these starters aren't going long enough. Now, Colin Ray pitched into the 6th inning. Okay. But you look at all 3 of those games this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all those starters, short starts. When you have Dallas Keuchel pitching, you better have the bullpen ready. Okay. Colin Ray, you hope to get 6 innings out of him. Freddie's got to pitch 6 innings. He didn't pitch. He ran into a high pitch count, was not a long start. What do you go, 4 innings on Friday night? was not a long start for him. Freddie at the top of this rotation as an ace. I mean, it's almost imperative that guy gives you 6 innings, right? I mean, that's not too much to ask for. Hopefully 7, but there's a lot of exhausted guys in that bullpen. Adam McKelvey from Brewers.com asked Murphy at the press conference tonight. He said, "You'd love to give these guys all week off, wouldn't you?" Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, the train is not going to stop. The train is not going to stop and say, "Oh, the Brewers, you're exhausted in the bullpen. We're going to give you guys a week off." No, the Brewers got to make their own breaks. They got to make their own rest periods by having starters go longer, having some blowout games of their own, okay, where you can throw guys into the game, guys you're not really depending on. You put guys into the ball game, pitchers into the ball game that, who are able to suck up some innings at the end, and you're able to, not having to use the Hobie Milners and some of these guys. I don't know if Payamps is exhausted. I don't know what his problem is, but he's given up way too many home runs. It's like 5 in the last week. Less than a week. It's just way too many. And I'm showing big time concern. Maybe he's just exhausted. But the Brewers could use some rest. They're going to get it next week with the All-Star break and regroup then. But until then, the Brewers still have 5 games left before the All-Star break. And they got to finish out this first half before the break strong. Okay, they can't get swept by the Pirates at home. They can't drop 2 or 3 to the Nationals. They've been taking 2 or 3. The Brewers have taken 2 or 3 from 9 straight teams at home right now. They're on a 9-game winning streak of winning series. A loss in either one of these next 2 nights to the Pirates is going to break that. But they got to win Wednesday. You don't want to go into Thursday's game against Skeens, okay, thinking, "Oh boy, we got to find a way to give this guy a loss. Otherwise, you can't get swept by the Pirates at home." Remember last year they got swept by the A's at home, but as we always say, anybody can beat anybody in baseball. I was hoping for a 4-2 homestand, still possible, but the Brewers have some work to do. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. When we come back, we'll get some Brewer tidbits, including Devin Williams. That's some good sign right there. Devin Williams through some batting practice. My thoughts on Max Scherzer. Should the Brewers get into the race for him? And, an injury update on D.L. Hall, who is injured again in his rehab start. We'll get to all that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Over 5 million active members. Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other sports apps, on Prize Picks, it's you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and watch those winnings roll right in. Get in on all the daily action with your friends. Become part of Prize Picks community today. Here's what you need to do. First of all, download the Prize Picks app today. Use that promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Remember to use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's Locked On MLB on Prize Picks. Deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Prize Picks. You could win up to 100 times your money with Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You could turn $10 into $1,000, but you can't do that unless you download the Prize Picks app today. Use that promo code LOCKEDONMLB for that first deposit match up to $100. You want to go to the game this week, maybe this weekend? You want to head out and see the Brewers and Nats play? Well, hey, go to Game Time. Game Time. Browse through the Game Time app and check it out. It's not only sporting events, but they have concerts in there. They have all sorts of things, theater, comedy events, whatever. I've gone to games. I use it, and I'm telling you, it is a way to go. Last-minute deals. You save up to 60% on buying last minutes for sports, concerts, or whatever. They have flash deals. Save even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of a game or an event. But you know what? The seat views is what I like. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. You just touch on the seat and it'll show you exactly where the view of the seat, and it's accurate. All in pricing, the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time ticket coverage as well. Your purchase will be covered with most flexible customer service policy, the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Check it all out. But what you got to do is download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee with Game Time. And down the stretch we come here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. All you everydayers, all you guys. I see you guys who are downloading the app every day. I mean, it's not like I know it, but I see you guys tweet me on Twitter and talk about it or comment it on YouTube, on our YouTube page. You can comment on there. See some of you guys commenting on there every day. You know, the Charles Darwins, those guys in the world. Love those guys. Man, you are messaging me or tweeting me every day or commenting every day. There's a good core of you guys that do it. I absolutely love it. Love the guys who are following me and watching and commenting every day. I read all your comments. And, man, I could tell you're watching the games. You're right there with me. We're all in this together watching this, man. Brewers Nation, we're a great bunch, man. I love it. And continue, please. Continue to send me your comments and questions and all that. Love, love, love it. All right. The news on Devin Williams, encouraging. If you batting practice, he thought he threw the ball well. Now, the Brewers aren't committing on to giving him a rehab assignment just yet. Initially, it was thought that he was going to return like late July, maybe early August or whatever. No timetable. The timetable has not been updated as of, even though he went through some BP. Okay. But everything was encouraging. The multiple fractures in his back and all that. But it's a slow process. And even Murphy said, hey, he hasn't had any spring training, so we can't just throw him down and send him off to Appleton or Nashville or anything. We need to work through this slowly, which I understand. Take all the time you need. Well, don't take all the time you need because we need you. But if you're healthy, we need you, man. We need you, Devin Williams, on this team. I'm looking forward to it. When he comes back, we got McGill in the 8th inning, Devin Williams in the 9th inning. We'll see if Devin – I mean, that's a tough place to put Devin Williams, actually, in the closer spot when he does come back, because coming off months and months of dealing with stress fractures in his back, I'd be surprised if they threw Williams in the closer spot right away, especially because McGill is doing such a heck of a job. I saw the Apple TV baseball schedule for August. Sure. Apple TV, we can get on Apple TV on a Friday night, take 2 Brewer games away from Brewer fans on Bally Sports. So those who don't have Apple TV can't watch the Brewers. We have no problem putting on Apple TV a couple of times a month, and taking away a Friday night game. But an ESPN game on a Sunday, can't do that, or we're able to watch. But sure, you could take us in an all-exclusive Apple TV, which I don't subscribe to, but I may have to start doing it because they're taking away several Friday games again in August. Got a pennant race here. 2 games in the month of August, it sounds like Apple TV is taking away on a Friday night. Max Scherzer. Would Max Scherzer look good in a Brewers uniform? Of course. Would I want to give up for him? Nothing good, that's for sure. The guy's 40 years old. The Mets are paying most of that contract. Prorated on $12.5 million, I think it is. That's what the Rangers are paying. The Mets, I feel like, are paying off everybody's contract these days. It stems back from the Bobby Bonilla deal. But Max Scherzer, yeah. At what cost, though, do I want him pitching for the Brewers? But you're hearing that the Cardinals are really, really interested. I don't know. It depends on what the Rangers are asking. I'm not giving away my top guys, that's for sure, for 40-year-old Max Scherzer. Not at all. Yeah, the guy is great, has seen his better days, but has got a string of history of injuries. Last thing I want to do is pick up Scherzer, and there he is sitting on the end of the bench throwing BP because he's trying to rehab a hamstring or a sore shoulder or whatever. Yeah, we don't need that. I'm a little skeptical. Now, if it's like a Carlos Santana deal where you're giving up, a single A prospect, okay, that you don't think that's got a high ceiling, all right. But Max Scherzer, I don't care how desperate I am about pitching. I ain't giving up my top prospects if that's what it took. or even one of them for Max Scherzer. Somebody mentioned, would I give up one of the Brewer outfielders for him? Blake Perkins, I would. I know that's going to draw some heat. D-Hell Hall took a comebacker today. Does not have a fractured forearm. He's on it's been all bad news. D.L. Hall hasn't had a sunshine on him since he became a Milwaukee Brewer. A Corbin Burns move didn't work out for him. It had been for Ortiz, had been for Burns, but poor D.L. Hall, he can't catch a break. Man, the guy's down. The guy's been injured in multiple areas so far, and now a contusion on his forearm. They've ruled out a fracture, which is good news. But man, that guy's had more bad luck. But D.L. Hall, I say when he was coming back, he was targeted for the bullpen anyway. All right, Tobias Myers, give us one on Wednesday. Need a big one from Tobias Myers in Wednesday's night game. Believe it's the first Wednesday night game of the season at AmFam Field. I'll see you out there. We'll be out there covering the game. And like I said, the press box, I'll be walking in back of the press box on the way. And if you see me walking to or from, please stop and say hello. Love to hear and see and meet any Brewer fans of Locked On Brewers. Ran into one the other day over at when I was my TV segment with Leroy Butler on Spectrum TV with Dennis Krause. Ran into somebody who worked there. I said, Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers? Yes, good to meet you. Big fan. Thanks for stopping to say hello. He said he's a regular listener. I forget his name, but it was a good-looking man who stopped by and said hello. All right, that's going to do it for me. Hey, everybody, Google, Spotify, Apple, run all the major downloads to get Locked On Brewers. Also, our growing YouTube page. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. Need a win on Wednesday. They've dropped 405. The Cardinals are close again. We'll talk to you late night, Wednesday night, here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.